The topic of this lesson is measuring instruments or measuring tools. Under that topic, there are 7 subtopics in this note. First one, teacher tests. Teacher tests are twofold. Written tests, that's A. B is oral tests. Then the second category is objective English language tests. We discussed this thing in the previous slide. Third instrument type is assignment. Assignment. You are familiar with this instrument, tool or test. Right? What is an assignment? An assignment is an activity. So this is an activity. Underline it. An activity carried out by the students. Who is going to do this one? The students. So underline that one also separately, right? It is an activity carried out by the students under the direct guidance of the teacher. So that's the third characteristics, right? So assignment is an activity done by the students under the supervision of the teacher. So third one, that's the third point, underline that also. Therefore, an assignment is an activity that should be necessarily be carried out under the guidance of a teacher. So the teacher should be there and she should guide the students throughout the steps of the assignment, right? Under the guidance of the students, teacher, the students carry out this activity. It's a task performed by the students or a student. An activity where each step is supervised by the teacher. So in an assignment, there should be steps. And these steps should be supervised, guided by the teacher. An activity where there is a final product. After the process, there should be a final product. What do you mean by a final product? Example, a booklet. They prepare certain articles and the product is a booklet, a report, demonstration, dance, a wallpaper, right? A creation, a model, a scrapbook. So there should be a product. A pre-planned by a task by the teacher. The teacher has to plan everything, how to group the students, how to give them the task, and how to do the evaluation, etc. An assignment is an activity that can be implemented at the beginning. We can give an assignment before we start the lesson or at the beginning of the lesson. At the beginning or at the end, after the lesson, also we can give an assignment. Or while, that means during the lesson. During the learning teaching process also, we can give them an activity, assignment. So pre, while, post. In those 3 stages, we can give assignments. While involved in the teaching learning process. Primarily aimed at developing the 5 basic competencies regarding communication, relating to the environment, relating to the ethics and religion, in play and use of leisure, relating to learn to learn. Those are the basic competencies, right, in the school-based assessment. So we can say an assignment is an activity carried out by the students under the supervision of the teacher. Then there are some other features as well. Assignments have many advantages. They can be used as a teaching method. Now, for example, I can give you some materials related to the 4 basic language skills. Right? What are those? Listening, speaking, reading and writing. Then I can ask you or group you and ask you to prepare a booklet based on the assigned skill, right? Then I can give you subtopics also. What are those? The definition of the skill, right? The definition, sub skills involved, principles underline the skill or the special features of the skill, then materials, right? Texts, materials used for the skill, then activities or tasks involved in the skills, uh, then how to measure the skill, measuring instruments that can be used to measure the skill, and also learner problems and suggested solutions in the teaching. Likewise, I can give you some subtopics. So you have to find all these things and prepare a booklet in your groups, right? Separate four groups, four skills. So I can make use of the method assignment to teach you that particular area. So assignments can be used as a teaching method. Next, number two can be used as a learning method. So I can, if I take the same example, I can give you the basic introduction, right, for all the sub skills, all the subtopics. Then you will have to find more information and prepare the booklet. So you are learning, discovery learning, you find more information. So it can be taken as a learning method also. Number three can be used as an evaluating method, right? Even at the end of, I teach the lesson, then at the end, I want to check whether you have understood the component. So I'll give you an assignment. Prepare a booklet, including all the facts that we have learned. And I can assess your work, the booklet, right? So it can be used as an evaluating method. So remember all these. Helps to cover a vast subject area under one assignment. As I told you, 4 language skills in the ELT section. I can cover the whole area by giving one assignment as a teaching method or a learning method or an evaluating. Active participation of students in the learning teaching process. Yeah, it's correct. So the students will find more information, they prepare everything and they will learn. Active participation is they are not just passive learners. The teacher says something, the students listen. No, here the students are active. Can provide feedback when necessary. Now, how can you explain that? Can provide feedback when necessary. So, according to the definition, an assignment is a task, an activity that is carried out by the students under the supervision of the teacher. So, there are steps involved, right? The teacher supervises the steps. So, she can give feedback, right, during the process, at the end of each step or during the steps when necessary, not at the end also. In the middle also, whenever it requires, the teacher can provide feedback. Facilitates the students for meaningful learning through discovery. So they'll have to study deeper, go through, find the resources and go through them. Help to develop cognitive, affective, psychomotor, personal traits and social skills in students as a whole. Yeah, so this is very important, right? By giving assignments, we can assess the students' knowledge, attitudes. What are the attitudes? Attitudes, values, beliefs, all these things, right? So knowledge, attitudes, skills, right? Psychomotor domain, skills, what they can do, skills, and also their personality traits and social skills, right? All 5 domains can be assessed by assignments. So in near the topic number 3 assignment, Within brackets, right, we can assess knowledge, attitudes, skills, personality traits, and social skills. In other words, we can assess all 5 domains. These are first paper questions, right? So assignments can be used to assess the 5 domains. Number 9, facilitates interrelated learning. Interrelated. Now, who are the parties? The teacher pupil. Pupil teacher. The teacher can say something and the pupil, there's an interaction. Pupil teacher, the people, students can ask for information and the teacher can give. Pupil teacher, pupil people among the students themselves. Right? So these are the advantages. Now let's look at an example of an assignment. Right? At the exam, if you go through the past papers, you can see that they ask you to give a model of an assignment and explain it. Right. So you don't have to write everything as given here. Just write the topics, subtopics, and include your examples there. So the first thing you'll have to write the topic, right? Assignment. Then the subject. Here, history and social studies. You can use English. Grade 6, grade 6 first term. This is an example, so I am going through this example. You can provide your own information. Unit is our school. The theme under that unit is school flag, motto, emblem, right? Then you have to write the objectives of the assignment. Here, what are the behavioral objectives? Draws the school flag using appropriate colors, symbols accurately, right? So the students should be able to draw the school flag with the appropriate colors and symbols. States 3 occasions when the school flag is hoisted. So when can we hoist the school flag? We have to give 3 occasions. The students have to write at least 3 occasions. When? In the morning assembly, in the functions like prize giving, sports meet, like this. Draws a picture showing how to behave when the school flag is being hoisted. So one group will draw, one objective of this assignment is to know how to stand when the school flag is hoisted, right? Write the school motto and its meaning, right? Not only the school flag, no theme. What's the theme? School flag, motto, emblem, the badge. Then write the meaning of the motto and its meaning. Draws the school emblem and interprets its meaning. The school badge. Those are the objectives. So in your assignment, those things should be there. What are the things? Subject, grade, the unit or theme, and objectives. Number 5, nature of the assignment. Now according to this is the wall magazine, right? A page in the wall magazine. Number 6, implementation. How you carry out this. First you will have to give the instructions. That's 6.1. 6.2 is assigning the tasks, right? Now we'll go through the first one, 6.1, instructions. Make students aware of the expected behavioral changes. What are the behavioral changes here? The objectives, right? So at the end of the assignment, you should be able, the whole class should be able to identify the the colors, the symbols in the school flag, and when should we have to hoist the school flag. Likewise, all the objectives. Number 2, explain all the activities to be carried out. Then divide the class into, first you have to give the instructions. These are the things that you'll have to do, right? Then you have to divide the class into groups. After the instructions only, you have to divide the groups. The whole class should know what is happening, right? Not individual groups. The whole class should know the whole process. Then you divide the groups, assigning tasks. Yeah, divide the group, assign the task to each group, inform the date of assignment. When you are going to carry out this assignment, it can be within one day, within one period, or you can give them 3 days or 1 week for them to do likewise. And instruct them to bring the necessities. That's, I think, one day within one period. Prepare the page of the wall magazine. Right, so the wall magazine, that page includes the school flag and details, motto, and the emblem, the details. Inform the deadline for the completion of the task. Right, if it's 1 week or 3 days or 40 minutes, the deadline should be informed. Then they will complete, right? Then assigning tasks. So how many groups are there? 5. Right, the teacher, what's the grade? Grade 6. Right, the teacher has divided the whole class into 5 groups. Now, how to group the students? There are different techniques, no, according to the register order, or according to numbers. For example, if there are 5 groups, you can get the students to count 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5, like that, and get all ones in one group, twos in the next group, likewise. Or you can divide the students according to their abilities also, right, or their preferences. Now we'll see group 1. What's the task? So the group 1 students have to bring the school flag to the class. It's in the office now, so they have to get permission from the principal and bring the school flag to the class. Identifies the colors and symbols, right, the true colors, and the symbols also. What are the colors that they can find in the school flag, and the symbols also. Draws the school flag using appropriate colors and symbols, because they have to bring the necessities, right, colored chalk or whatever, platinum markers. Write 3 occasions where the school flag is hoisted. So the students with nice handwriting, they can write the 3 occasions. That's task 1, right, group 1. Group 2 draws a picture showing how to behave when the school flag is being hoisted. So if they are an artist, you can include that child in that group, right? So, and that child can guide the others also. Draws a picture showing how to behave. So how do you behave? You have to stand straight, and how to keep your legs, how to place your legs, right, legs and feet, arms and fingers, right, how to hold your head, all these things include. Writes Group 3 writes the motto of the school and its meaning. What do you mean by motto? Motto of the school and its meaning. What's the motto of our college? Can you remember? So now I'm taking your time. So the motto of the college is Bahu Satcham Cha Sippan Cha Vinayo Cha Susikkito. The cha means and, right? It is a Pali verse. It's one of the Buddhist sutras, right? Mangala Sutra. Bahu Satcham. Bahu Satcham means many sciences. It deals with knowledge. But according to the Buddhism, it has a vast meaning. If we take the college of education, Bahu Satcham means many sciences, means knowledge. Then Bahu Satcham, cha means and. Sippancha Shilpa, that means skills, the things that you can do in the college. Now knowledge is related to the subject component, measurement, psychology, sociology, guidance and counseling, all the subjects, knowledge, right? Bahusruta Pudgalaya. Then if you take the scope of the college, here that's the syllabus, right? But in Buddhism it's vast, as I told you earlier. Then skills means the things that you can do, perform, right? Now say computer skills, language skills. That you should be able, if you take computer skills, you should be able to prepare a presentation using the PowerPoint slides, and you should be able to use the Itaxalava platforms, right? Zoom lessons, all these things skills, and not only those, you should be able to organize a sports meet. That's why there are model sports meets. Then batch trips or the trips, school trips. All these are skills. Bahu Satchancha, Sipancha, right? Shilpa skills. Vinayocha, Vinayo means discipline according to the rules and regulations. At 5 o'clock you will have to get up. By 6 o'clock you will have to be in the ground for the morning muster. And then by 7:45 you will have to be in their classes. By 8 o'clock you will have to start. By 12 o'clock you will have to go to the dining hall. Not before that. Then by 1 o'clock you will have to be back, not after 1. Then by 4 o'clock you will have to go back to the hostels, not before that. Likewise, you are following the rules. You are wearing the white sari in a proper manner. Vinaya also means you are following the rules and regulations correctly. Susikkito means this is very important. Susikkito, self-discipline. Whether you have rules and regulations or not, you have to be self-disciplined, right? You have to come to the classes, and now say when you are going out of the class, you have to lock the door. You have to see whether the fans and lights are switched off. All these things. So Sikkito. That's the motto. Right. Quickly we'll go to the next one. Writes the motto of the school and its meaning. Number 4. Identify the shape, color and the symbols in the school flag. Right. Number 5. Writes the meaning denoted by the colors and the symbols in the school flag. So everything is covered under this assignment. You know what's the theme? School flag, motto and emblem. The students are divided according to their talents, abilities and all. So they have to prepare this assignment. Right, number 6 was the instructions. Number 7, evaluation. How you can evaluate the students, the assignment, right? Both the process as well as the product will be evaluated, right? Process means while they are doing the assignment, while they are carrying out the assignment, you can assess the students. Now, when you did your child study project, we assessed you while you were carrying out all the activities, right? And then the product also assessed. So what's the product there? The child study report and also the presentation. So 2 products, both were assessed. So in the assignment, both the process as well as the product should be evaluated. The assignment of marks will be done individually and group wise. This is important, right? So individually also you'll have to assess. Otherwise they'll be very lazy and cunning students. They will give another assignment to the groups and they will just stay back and do nothing and get the marks at the end. So the assignment of marks will be done individually and also as a group, right? For this purpose, an evaluation sheet should be used. It is given below down here. In the evaluation sheet from 1 to 5 individual marks. Now we'll go through the evaluation sheet. The structure of the evaluation sheet as follows. So there are groups, right? Group 1, group 2 up to 5. I have taken only this part. Then criteria to be evaluated. 1, the process. Number 2, the product, right? Then in the group 1, there are students. Here Rani Mala, very old students, no? Rani Mala, Nilu, Kumar, Gaya, right? Those are the students in group 1. Now what's the process? 1. brings necessary items. Now the teacher will check whether the Rani has brought the necessary items, color pencils, A4 sheets, whatever. Right? She has brought them. So 4 marks. Now here up there in the evaluation, note the group marks will be a student's individual marks as well for that, right? Assignment of marks, very good, out of 4. So maximum for each criteria or criterion is 4, right? Out of 4 for each. 3, 2, 1, like that. No zeros, no. Note, the maximum mark a student can gain in this assignment is 40, right? This in this particular assignment, because there are 10 categories, criteria, 10. So for 10 into 4, 40. So first one brings name. Mala Rani got 4 marks, full marks. She has got everything. She's being assigned to. Number 2, discusses information. A silent case, right? Is it Ravi or, yeah, Ravi? No, Rani. Ravi, you can't see. A silent boy or a girl, right? No discussion, doing things by herself. Cooperation, that's also 1, very weak, right? That's the individual mark. Now if we take Mala, she also has brought everything 4 out of 4. Then discusses information, yes, very active, right? Discuss with the others and do things, right? 4. Then cooperation is also 3, doesn't fight. So likewise individually you can give, and then if we go to the product means, what's the product here? The wallpaper, the output, right? Wallpaper, that the materials. Accuracy, clarity. Here now the ordering is wrong, right? 1, 2, that one is 3, cooperation. Then dot, 3 dots, not 4 dots. 3 dots means continuation. Then product, it should start from 6 to 10. Product 6, 7, dot, 10. Accuracy, quality. Now here it's a group one. For the product, it's a group mark. See, accuracy, not that correct. It's correct, no? Out of 4, 3 marks. So all students in that group will get 3, 3, 3, 3, like that. It's a group mark. Clarity of the product, 2, not that clear. So all the students will get 2 marks. Likewise, group marks and individual marks. Then Rani, according to these criteria, Rani's mark, you can, out of 40, you can put, because we have missed certain criteria. So likewise, we can get individual and group marks. For the group 2 also you can do. That's the evaluation. Last part is summarization. Once you have done this assignment completed, you have to summarize. What do you do in the in this stage? Have a discussion based on the assignment. Give an opportunity to students to express their views and experiences. Give the students their marks and discuss their strengths and weaknesses as well as means of improvement. A discussion, summary, what you have learned from this. That's the way, that's how this is summarization, right? The summary of the whole thing. So what you have learned and what are your strengths, what are the weaknesses, how to overcome them. So you have to give them the necessary feedback, right? Constructive feedback. That's the end of the assignment. So you must know the definition and the special features and also the advantages and disadvantages also. Then the format of the assignment, there are 8 parts included. All right. The next measuring instrument is the checklist, right? The checklist deals with specially psychomotor skills, right? sometimes affective traits also, values, beliefs, all these things, but basically psychomotor skills, right? Assignment, what does it deal with? All five domains: knowledge, attitude, skills, personality traits, and social skills. Checklists, psychomotor skills or skills. Right. We'll go through this quickly. A checklist is a tool that is used to examine whether whether a student exhibits the expected behaviors when he is engaged in a particular task. Right? In simple words, a checklist is a test instrument that is used to check whether a student can do a task or not. Whether a student can do a task properly or not. Right? It's a skill now. Whether the child can draw the digestive system correctly or not. Whether the child can dance a particular step correctly or not. Whether the child can pronounce the words correctly or not. Right? So whether a student exhibits the expected behaviors or the task or not. Right? That's the checklist. You are checking whether can do or cannot do. So that's why it deals with basically the skills. Next one, checks whether a student exhibits the expected particular skill or not. That's what I explained, right? So for this you can use yes or no, 1 or 0. When the child exhibits that, so you give 1. If not, no. Right or wrong, 2 things. What are the symbols or the assessment symbols? Actually, we use in the assignment marks. In the assignment marks, we gave there out of 4 for each criterion. Here, for each yes or no, right or wrong, like that. Remember all these. Then the next one is not clear. Actually, it should be there should be an ordered list of behaviors expected from students. Here behavior means actions, activities, tasks, steps, right? A list of behaviors, actions expected from the students. Next one, in a checklist, then only you can check whether the child can do this thing or not. It is not essential that the preparation of the checklist should only be done by the teacher. Even the students within the groups, they can prepare a checklist, right? They could also be prepared by anyone else competent enough to do it. Not only the teacher, others also can do, but they should be competent enough to do this. Prepare the list, right? There's a way of preparing it, that's why competent enough. Checklist can be used to evaluate in the process. Underline that also. Process. The assignment, the process and the product. Here, while they are doing, we can check whether they can do this or not. That's the thing, right? The process is evaluated. So you should be able to compare and contrast these testing the tools or the tests, right? Instruments. Now, how can you prepare a checklist? Checklist is a list of tasks, right? How can you prepare? This order is important. I have seen first paper questions based on this order. Number 1, identification of a learning situation or a task, right? Mainly a task that shows psychomotor skills. So you can select a practical test, dancing or recitation, something that they can do, active. Analysis of the task. That means you will have to break down the whole thing into steps. Write down the tasks that are expected to be performed by the students. If it is a recitation, right? We can check whether the students can recite a poem. That's the first one, identification of a learning situation. Then you have to break down that one into small steps. The student, whether the student pronounces the words correctly, the student expresses the feelings appropriately, the student uses the intonation correctly. Likewise, the student recites the all three stanzas correctly of the whole poem. Likewise, we have to break down the task into sub steps. Number 3, arrangement, organization of the task in an order. First, you jot down all the steps, then you'll have to order them, right, as the process goes on. The steps, right? Arrangement, organization of the task. Number 4, identification and amendment of errors. You have in your steps, you have to identify whether there are errors in your steps, and if there are any, you have to amend them, change them, correct them. Number 5, preparation of a checklist. So then you'll have to finalize the checklist. So what are the steps in the preparation of a checklist? Identification of a situation, task. Then write the steps of the task, analysis of the tasks, right? What is expected to be done by the students, performed by the students. Next one, arrange the steps in an order, ascending order. Then identify if there are errors and correct them. Then finalizing the checklist, preparation of the final copy. Now we'll quickly go through the advantages. What are the advantages? It serves as a means of judging all the abilities and inabilities of a student in viewing of improving his talents. So we are checking whether the students can do or cannot do the expected tasks, his talents, right? Then helps to determine the students' level of proficiency, whether the students can do the task very well within the given time and at the appropriate speed. If we take cutting onions in a home science class, if the child cuts the onions very slowly and cutting his fingers also, so not proficient enough, right? So wrong or zero. Helps to determine the level of achievement as a whole regarding a unit lesson. If we take dancing, that we can check whether the students can dance that particular step correctly, right? Mayura Vannama, maybe. Helps to identify capable and incapable students. Yeah, we can separate, or we can identify who are capable, who can perform these tasks correctly, and who cannot do. And then we can apply remedial measures also, and help the clever ones to go further. Help the teacher in acquiring feedback. The teacher herself can get a feedback on his or her teaching, right? If the students can do the tasks well, that means her teaching was good, effective. Then down here an example, right? The structure of a checklist. Right. You can take the groups or a single group A, group B, group C, or students in a particular group also. Once again, here you will have to write the name of the instrument. What's the name of the instrument here? Checklist. Right? I told you in the second paper you can find these questions. Give a model. Right? So see, checklist. Subject is here, home science. Topic, preparation of a fruit drink. Then grade 7. So this is the checklist, and what do you find in a checklist? The steps or the expected behaviors. Behaviors means the actions activities that they are expected to perform. So what are they doing? Preparing a fruit drink, right? So the teacher has prepared this checklist and she assesses the students' performance. What's the first one? Brings the necessities. Amali, she has brought all the necessities. Dimtu. So, group wise. Group A students, they have brought all the things that they are required from. So, they have peels the fruits correctly. Can or cannot. Measures the quantities correctly. You can't add more salt. Likewise, measures the quantities correctly. Then you can put correct or no. This way you can assess. So that is the end of the checklist. Next one, observation sheet or observation schedule. Now we can use this instrument to assess the students' affective traits, their attitudes, emotions, beliefs, values. Those are the affective traits. And also their social skills, how to respect the others in the group, then listen to the others, teamwork, cooperation, those things, social skills, how to live in a society, right, with a group. Then personality traits, individual characteristics, punctuality, honesty, straightforwardness, leadership qualities, right? So how can we measure all these things? By taking an observation schedule, right? So it assignment, all 5 domains: knowledge, attitude, skills, personality trait, social skills. Then checklists, skills, observation schedules, affective traits, attitudes, social skills, and personality traits. It is a tool used for assessing the affective traits, social skills, and traits of personality traits of a student or a group of students engaged in a particular activity inside or outside the classroom, right? You can observe them inside or outside the classroom. Characteristics of an observation sheet. It should consist a list of students' behaviors and traits, right? Actually, a list of traits. Now down there's a model, right? Prefers company, does not prefer company, or prefers to be alone. Actively engaged in the activity, not active. Likewise, characteristics, attitudes, those things. They should connected to the affective traits. It is necessary affective traits, social skills, and personality traits. It is not necessary to list down the behaviors in an order. Now in the checklist, we listed down them, then we ordered them, right? The gradual progression. Here we don't have to list down them in an order, but the key point is we'll have to include the positive criterion and the negative one, right? Prefers company, does not prefer company. Works cooperatively, does not work cooperatively. Because a single person can do both, can exhibit both characteristics. It is not necessary to list down the behaviors in the order. Number of occasions the students exhibit, these behaviors and traits should be noted and tallied. We observe them, these characteristics, and we put tally marks. This child helps the others, put 1. That means a tally mark. Then another situation, there also that child helped, so another tally mark. So in the assignments, what is the symbol? Marks. In the checklist, right or wrong. Then here in the observation schedule, tallies. All these are first paper questions. Number 5. Observations can be done when the students are engaged in an activity inside or outside. The process is observed. Observation sheets can be prepared individually or group wise. Here individually, group 1, group 2, likewise also you can. Preparation of an observation sheet. Identify the traits and skills which are to be assessed. Down there, those are the identified traits and skills. Then their age, the skills, expectations should be noted down. Write down the statements regarding those skills. As I told you, positive and the negative one. Prepare the sheet. Observe the students when they are engaged in the activity, individually or group wise, inside or outside. Record the number of occasions the students exhibit a particular behavior using tallies. Once you have collected the information, you can analyze. For example, Amal. Most of the time, Amal prefers company, but sometimes he likes to work alone. What are we assessing now? The students' affective traits, social skills, personality traits. So we are analyzing. Now, if we take Sujani, Sujani prefers to be alone. She does not like to work with the other students or move with the other students. An individual person, no? Actively engaged in and not active. So she is a passive one. But she respects the others' views. See, likewise we analyze these. That's the one. Then we can do this. That's the observation sheet. Observation schedules are for affective traits, social skills and personality traits. Subtopic number 6. Classification of tests based on purpose. Another classification of tests, right? Based on purpose. Why we test. First one is the placement test. Placement test. What is that? Classification or grouping of students according to their present knowledge in a particular subject area. Right? So what are the key points? Grouping students, placing them, right? Classification. Grouping students according to their present knowledge, what they have now, according to their present knowledge in a particular subject area, maybe English, right? These tests are held at the beginning of a course. At the beginning, underline, at the beginning of a course, and usually are not based on any particular syllabus. No syllabus, right? These tests are not conducted on a particular syllabus. No syllabus. At the beginning of a course, we just test their present knowledge and place them. That's why placement test. Example. No, but the examiners select some important parts of the subject area that is expected to be studied. Right? There's no particular syllabus, but we take particular subject areas to be tested. Example: vocabulary, tenses, summarization, etc. At the entrance exam, right? MNC. So when you come to the college, we conduct a placement test also, right? Then we group them according to your groups. We start the immersion course. Later, grouping of students according to their standard in the total immersion course. Likewise. So just write down the key points. Remember them by heart, the definition. First paper questions. Second one, entry behavior test. Similar to the placement test, here the aim is to examine the present knowledge, that's why similar, present knowledge of the students prior to the commencement of a course. In the placement test, before we start a course. Here also, before we start a course or a subject or thing. The test is not based on a particular syllabus. That is also similar to placement, not a specific syllabus. Or course. Unlike the placement test, now what's the difference? Unlike the placement test, a grouping of students is not done here. Right? Entry behavior, no grouping. The results of the entry behavior test will be compared with the exit behavior test. So in the entry behavior test, then first, before the commencement of the course, we give an entry behavior test, and based on the knowledge we teach them, and at the end of the course we give the same test to the students and compare their achievement. Right? The results of the entry behavior will be compared with the exit behavior test. Repetition of the entry behavior test, the same test. All right, it's similar to placement. What's the placement? Present knowledge is evaluated. There's no specific syllabus. The test is conducted at the beginning. Right, those are the common features. In the placement test, the students are grouped according to their standard. In the entry behavior, there will be a exit behavior and comparison between these two. Selection test. Mostly these are targeted at selecting suitable candidates. Remember, selection test, select suitable candidates for different types of jobs and professions. Example, teaching, nursing, banking. And the selection tests are not based on a particular course or a syllabus. Right? Number 4, proficiency tests. Proficiency tests measure whether a person is proficient enough or skillful enough to make use of the present knowledge in applying in a specific area. So here also we are considering the present knowledge, but we are considering whether the candidate is proficient enough to make use of this knowledge, right? That is why proficiency test. Example, to study in the English medium, some standard of English is required. To follow an advanced banking course, a fair knowledge in accountancy is required. So, a proficiency test is conducted. To check, so what can you underline here? A proficiency test measure whether the person is proficient enough to follow a course, skillful enough to make use of the present knowledge in the course. Achievement tests. Achievement tests measure whether a student is learning or not, or how far he has learned from what he is expected to learn during a specific period of time. Deal with existing or present level of achievement based on the past learning. What you have to remember from this is achievement tests measure knowledge. Write it here. Achievement tests measure knowledge. What do you measure there? How much the students have learned, how well the students have learned during a specific period of time. Achievement test. The other type is the performance test. Here knowledge is involved in the performance test. Skills are involved. In the norm reference approach, achievement tests are involved. Then the next one is the aptitude test. And aptitude, Abhyogata, right? Grade 5 scholarship exam. That's an aptitude test. An aptitude test or aptitude test measure whether a person has a particular talent to follow a specific course of study in the future. Predicts future performance. That's the keyword. Predicts future performance. Whether a candidate has a particular talent for future performance. Not of past learning. Now achievement test based on past learning. These tests are conducted to select people for study courses, right? Music, medicine, law, aptitude, right? Profession, whether the person is proficient enough, or the particular talent. The training courses as for scholarships. Hopes the selectees will perform well in their selected fields. Used mostly in highly competitive situations. Underline that also. Highly competitive situations. Aptitude tests are used. Next one is the intelligence test. Aptitude tests, intelligence test will be discussed later in detail, right? Intelligence test here is these tests are used to measure the level of intelligence of a person. It is said that there is a positive relationship between a person's level of intelligence and the quality, quantity, and speed of his learning. There is a relationship between intelligence and his learning abilities. If a person's level of intelligence is high, then the quality, quantity, and speed of his learning is also high, vice versa. The assessment of students' level of intelligence is advantageous to the teachers in the task of preparing the teaching learning materials. Right, according to the standard of the students, the teacher can plan her lessons and prepare the materials, give the tests accordingly, appropriate to students with different levels of intelligence. We'll discuss these two in detail at the end. Next, performance test. As I told you earlier, these tests they deal with skills, achievement tests, knowledge. These tests measure a person's ability to carry out a task or an activity, mainly concerned with the assessment of how far a person can perform a task. Right? Example, how well a student can solve a math problem or can type. Right? Whether the child is able to do or not. The aim is to bring the student from the minimum level to the expected or essential level. Existing level to the expected or essential level. That's the performance test. They deal with the criterion referenced. Okay? Diagnostic tests. Diagnostic tests are conducted mainly to find out the student's weaknesses. You can diagnose strengths also, not only weaknesses but mainly weaknesses here, and are usually followed by remedial teaching. So primarily to identify the student's weaknesses and to apply remedial measures. Mostly these are teacher-made tests and based on recent classwork. Diagnostic tests facilitate the teacher to identify not only the weaknesses of students but also the specific areas of them too. This child has the difficulty in writing. That's the diagnosis. But the teacher can identify this child doesn't know proper grammar tenses or spellings. or vocabulary. So not only the weakness but also the specific areas of them too. Also, these tests help the teacher to get a feedback on his teaching strategies as well. Next one, sociometric tests. I'm not going to discuss this. Anyway, I have included a note. In the sociology subject, you discuss all these. Subtopic 7, non-cognitive tests. Cognition means knowledge. These non-cognitive tests are mainly designed to assess a person's personality traits, affective traits, and social skills. Right, in observation schedules also we measured students' personality traits, affective skills, and social skills. Here also we do. Now, yeah, there are different types of tests to assess one's attitudes, values, characteristics, and interest, etc. separately. These are called situational tests also. Example, the interest in inventory is one of the situational tests used to examine a person's likes and dislikes, attitudes, to measure student attitudes, attitudinal tests. Now, what are these non-cognitive test types? Rating scales. Here, write down Likert, Likert apostrophe S. Likert's attitudinal scale or rating scale. Now here what's that? A scale that includes judgments set in an ordered manner regarding an opinion, attitude, etc. Now take this opinion or attitude. Whenever possible, we must help others. Right? So we can't give marks or tallies, no. That's an attitude, opinion. How can we measure that? By giving this rating scale. See? In the descending order, no? Strongly agree and it goes down. Strongly agree, cannot say. Neutral stage. Disagree, strongly disagree. Oh, very good, good, average, weak, very weak. So that's a rating scale. Under non-cognitive tests, these are first paper questions, right? What are non-cognitive tests? Questionnaires can be used. I'm not going to discuss these in detail. I have included note. They go through it. Interviews, self-reports, attitude scales, projections, discussions. All these are non-cognitive tests. Limitations in non-cognitive tests. Since the term personality has no clear definition, the examiner may find it difficult in deciding the scope in which he has to set the questions. Right? So personality is an unlimited area scope. So the tester or the examiner may find it difficult to select the criterion for this. That's one weakness. The possibility of selecting more or less the same answer. Now if we give them a rating scale, most of the time people tend to select the average one. Cannot say average, like that. Example, selection of the response, agree, quite often. Agree, like that. Selecting the response that gives a positive impression or a good personality, even though the true state may be otherwise. Right now, what we feel really is something else, but we give the positive answer. Right? Possibility of change in the response with time. Sometimes we believe this thing now, but it might change in the future. So people's attitudes and values are liable to change over time. So those are the limitations. Non-cognitive tests measure students or candidates' personality traits, social skills, and attitudes, affections, right? Affective domain. What are the types of tests you can use? Rating scales, questionnaires, interviews. You can ask from people no interview, right? Questionnaires. So we can know about their opinions, attitudes, beliefs, everything. So there are certain limitations also. Like the area is vast and people tend to give false answers to give good impression. Like then number 8, other types of tools of measurement. Observations are there. Now this kind of observing the growth of a plant day by day, you record. Observing the changes in the shape of the moon within a month, 24 days now. Then explorations, that's also a tool of measurement. Not only written test, oral test, exploration. Example, visiting the ruins in Anuradhapura. In the study and study that in the study of that era. Surveys, self-study kits. What are those? A set of different types of activities a student can do by himself. If we take adverbs, then you can prepare activities, right? Time, for time adverbials, place, manner, with answers also. The students can study them, self-study kits. Projects also. What's a project? A study of different types of, flora in Kandy. That's the project topic. The project, students undertake an inquiry process in which the students collect some material and then organize and present data projects. So those are the other types of measurements, measuring tools. Sociometric tests. These tests involve finding out one's preference, whether one likes or dislikes working with a particular person. Right? Those are the things, preferences that's involved in living in the society. Oral tests, these are additional notes, right? Interviews are there, then the oral report down there. The learner prepares and gives an oral presentation taking from 5 to 10 minutes. Right? Oral report is an oral presentation. Then picture description, that's also one of the oral tests. The candidate is given a picture before starting the test, and he has to study it for a while and then he has to describe it. The examiner might ask questions. Next one, observations. Go through all these things. Next, portfolios. What's a portfolio? It's a collection of evidence based on your achievements and your experiences. Right now, if they ask you to prepare a portfolio based on your the course, 2 years residential course, you can include what? Your achievements. What are those? Certificates, transcripts, then records, those things. Say teaching practice. Then you can include the best lesson plan, photos of the best lesson plan, your best visual aid. And if you have organized different functions, if you have held positions, you can include them, certifications, right? Likewise, portfolio is a collection of your achievements and experience.